Hello everyone. This is Alan. I'm a social media editor for physical education and sport pedagogy. So today I'm here with Carmen Barquero Ruiz from the University of Limerick, and we're going to talk about her recently published article titled So welcome, Carmen. Could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much for the invitation and the opportunity of being here. My own background, as you have said, is on University of Limerick, and I tend to investigate or research on pedagogical models, but I'm originally from Spain, so I'm just based in the University of Limerick for 3 years.
Thank you for coming on. We are doing this short interview to help share great work and highlight the story behind your research. Let's start with the basic of the paper. So can you give us a brief summary of your study?
So the paper that we are going to talk about today is about understanding how models-based practice could be used in physical education. I follow the ideas of Casey and Kirk to how to promote a student-centered approach, moving away from more traditional or technical approach in PE. What I do is look at some current concern in physical education and see how they could be addressed using the framework that was developed here in Ireland, that is the senior cycle PE curriculum. That is a national curriculum that is based on on 6 different pedagogical models. If I would have to highlight like my main findings or the insights that I think that arise from my work, I would say mainly 3, maybe. The first one is that what is written in our curriculum really matters and create a sense of obligation. That's not new, that's something that others has already studied, but what is different or what happened in this case is interesting how it's so wave of support around PE to be able to implement this model-based practice curriculum. There were more research projects and funding opportunities for being able to work on this topic. There were more specialized teacher training or teacher continuous development, while at the same time the teacher wanted to learn about that. So it's kind of a double effect thanks to the curriculum. The second one would be that if we try to move away from those strict rules that were presented in early research, like fidelity checks for pedagogical models, we can allow more diversity in models-based practice, and teachers can adapt the models to their own context actually, instead of following like a strict formula for other thing that has been created in another context. Finally, I would say that it's important that it's not about teaching one model just because I like that model or I feel like it's a good one, but to ensure that we use a variety of models with different philosophies to ensure high quality and inclusive PE, like building on the 5 bodies, trying to represent more bodies or the more types of students that we could in our PE classes. That would be the main 3 things that I would summarize for this work.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. What surprised you most during this study? Yeah.
Well, I was surprised kind of from the very beginning because when I arrived in Ireland, I familiarized myself with all the curriculums that were available here, and I kind of saw that this curriculum, it wasn't really famous, let's say. So while I was writing, I really realized how important the curriculum was and the progressive ideas and social background that it has in the framework. So I would say that from the 3 years that I have been working on this, the main or most important thing was that we have something then that people didn't know so well or didn't value as much as I do or I would do. So that would be the most surprising thing, that this actually existed, but it wasn't being really valued.
I read your paper and I found that you described yourself as an outsider in the Irish PE landscape. Yeah, so my question is, how did that positioning shape the work?
Well, I think that's key for what I have just said, and thanks for reading that and appreciate that part, because I was thinking how to describe myself on this new environment. Like the very first month that I was here, I was in a lecture from Mary Sullivan, and she was saying something like to all the PE community in Ireland, like you really don't know how important is Irish PE or how well developed is Irish PE here. And I was like, okay, that's true. So my inside part is that I have to actually teach my students here to become pre-service teacher, to become teachers, and my outside shape all the idea I have around pedagogical models. So while I'm here, I was trying to bring all my perspective from pedagogical models by using the good environment that they have here and this curriculum that provides me the excuse, let's say, for using pedagogical models in my teaching. So
this study adopts an instrumental case study design with an ethnographic orientation. So could you give us more information or more context?
Sure. First of all, I would like to thank the reviewers because they really helped me in that part. At the very beginning, I was thinking that I was doing a case study and I was trying to present myself like impartial, like far from the scenario.
Yeah.
But when I grounded in the data, they told me, actually, you are part of the data. So I kind of reshape the way I presented the data. So I look for the different designs that match with what I was looking for or what I was doing. And it's a case study because I focus on the curriculum. So the curriculum is the main thing, but it's also an autoethnography because I'm part of this case study in an active way. As you have already mentioned, I'm insider because I'm a teacher educator. So I'm really involved in the teacher community in PE in Ireland. So that's make me be able to do this autoethnography. But the real point is the case study. So it's about the curriculum, but being an insider allows me to have this autoethnography around that.
Yeah, you mentioned the curriculum, so I'm wondering like what we can learn from your study or what other countries can learn from your study.
Well, I mentioned the study specifically for the shape that the curriculum have, but I think that the impact of the paper can be summarized in different ways. So it's not just to copy the idea of the Irish community, but in general ideas, we have a framework that is based in models instead of specific activities that ensure that there are different philosophies covers, like as I have already said. We have a framework that is quite open, although we can see that may feel uncomfortable for some teachers, but it's I see that as a positive thing to be able to adapt for diverse contexts, because in all the, not only nationally but internationally, we have different contexts within the same, like even in the same city. So that allows people to, or teachers to adapt that to their students. And the third one, I would say that it is needed support for being able to create this kind of curriculum and to enact the curriculum. So that would be the third thing that I think is important to share.
You did your study in Spain, in Scotland, and now you are working at the University of Limerick. So I'm wondering, like, how your background shaped your study.
I would say that really shaped that because, as you have said, in my background, I have been working in different contexts, and I was kind of worried about the applicability of pedagogical models in different contexts. I was working in Chile in 2023, and we make an interesting paper regarding to that because I was with the idea of working on TGFU there. And I was kind of more close approach to TGFU, and then I changed my mind because I kind of realized that wasn't the way to approach that, and they were doing different things, but that aligns with TGFU. So I think that definitely my background has shaped the paper in the way that I feel like it's important to have like common ideas, but then being able to contextualize each idea. So, and that also was shaped by like the last reading for case analogy with the ghost and past of his research, and the recent lecture by Kirk also regarding to models-based practice. Like, let's say that I was reconciliated with those ideas, and I find that useful for the PE community.
Yeah, great. So I think that's all my questions. And anything else you want to add or you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, maybe that but why I think that is important to see, like, kind of came back to the model-based practice that was planned by the original proposers, like in a more, let's say, social perspective, So I think that we were losing the sight a little bit with pedagogical models, and important critiques like from authors like Dylan Landy or Valeria Barea were valid and necessary. I have tried to make their consideration in this, taking into account this consideration, because I think the framework of senior cycle P really does. And we should think about how this future for model-based practice from us more socially grounded should be. So that would be my main share, like try to see the model-based practice from a more social background.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks to you.
Bye bye.